Hey guys, how's it going? Wanted to let a few people log in here because I know that we're running that late, just a little. We had said something yesterday about getting here at 11, but 11 really means 4. And Ann heard 11, so she put 11.
Not bad. It's 1:30.
And I said, I bet it would be 1:24 or something. Is it 1:24?
1:22.
Oh, we're 2 minutes early.
My watch could be wrong.
Let's see what time it is on here. 1:21. Okay, so we're 3 minutes early. So we'll wait for a few people to log in. Looks like maybe 9 people are logged in now. Let's see, we've got 9 live, 18 registered. So I wanted to show you guys something really quick. If I can share this page, if you guys go over to Google and look at because what we're going to be reading about here is I found a manuscript. When was that from? I'll let my dad talk.
Probably around March 2014. We were in the process of trying to figure out what our next book was going to be. Mm-hmm. We had done Answers Heaven Speaks, and we just didn't know. And
they told us we were going to write 12 books.
Yeah, they told us we're going to write all these books. And what's that?
It's the car dealership. I'll be right back. You keep on going.
Okay. Marissa's car is in the shop, so she's going to have to pick it up. So anyway, we didn't know what we were going to do, and so I was interested in pyramids, and that tied into ETs as well, because I had seen a UFO, and so I was, my son and I saw a UFO, and it was enormous. It moved very slowly across the sky, and had a very distinct shape to it. And sometimes I wonder if we were actually captured and then put right back into time, the same time again. So I don't know. I just don't know. So anyway, I had an interest in the pyramids and the ETs, and so that's how we got started on our second book. And then it turned out that somehow, some way, we thought it would be good to, I'm watching Marissa just walking around outside talking on the phone. Sorry. So anyway, we got to the point where we thought, let's just interview the authors of the New Testament. So that's what we did, and we ended up having the 8 greatest authors, and we put that book together. Originally, it was four separate books. But now we've condensed it into one book, the 8 greatest authors. But anyway, we want to read this today because this is very, very interesting, and it applies to today and what's going on in the world, and how we can. Well, it doesn't talk about COVID. It doesn't talk about a pandemic, but it gives us some kind of a relief, knowing that there's a consciousness that we live within that allows us to accept what's going on and still survive and be ourselves. So anyway, there goes Marissa. So I'd like to start reading. Actually,
Go ahead and start reading. I already read a lot of it last night.
Actually, what I want to do, if anything, I want to do the opening prayer.
4:30ish.
And so, the car's going to be ready 4:30? No?
Thank you so much, Don. I appreciate it. All right. See you in a bit. Okay, bye-bye.
What's happening?
Not going to be done until Friday.
Friday? Can't do that.
I know. So I asked him to rush it. So.
Oh, Friday.
I said, believe me, if I didn't have kids, I'd be like, oh, oops, the car is not going to be done until Friday. Got to stay in California a little longer. But
wow.
Jeff's on a 2-day trip, so we don't want to leave Mama there stranded.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just telling him that we needed to have a subject for the second book, and I was interested in pyramids.
Me too.
But eventually we ended up interviewing the authors. So we in this
which I was very mad about. Remember?
Book. Yeah, Marissa.
I pouted the whole time.
Yeah, she was against it because she knew nothing about the Bible or any of the authors and who they were.
I didn't want to do anything where anyone could prove me wrong. Where, like, if I got the wrong answer, they could go, "Oh, let me look here at this, and that," and "Oh, look, she's wrong." It was very ego. But also, I was totally bored by the Bible.
But we did it.
But now I really am interested in the Bible, and I think it's very interesting.
As I said, it's a condensed book, and so of the original 4 books of the authors. In fact, what were they called? Bible Speaks.
There are answers. Heaven speaks. Answers. The Bible speaks.
The Bible Speaks,
and then we had
different authors.
But now we have it. Answers. Christ speaks.
We've got. It's Christ. Conversations with Christ.
Yeah, the Ask Jesus.
Or Conversations with Jesus.
Which was the Ask Jesus.
Which is really good. I mean, any of the books you can just open it up. Just open it up to a page, and once you start reading that page, you'll feel like you're a part of it. And so there's always a lesson.
That's what they promised too. Remember, they said as soon as someone opens the book, they'll have us in their house, and they'll have us with them. And they said, unfortunately, that's the same for other people's books and the energies that they bring in too.
Well, they said that they would infuse their own energy into our books, so that whenever anybody was reading our books, they would then have that spirit with them. So it's actually pretty interesting stuff. So anyway, I'll just start reading if you want to.
That's why I was awake so late last night, because I was in the garage reading that. It's really good.
It's good. And then Marissa's just here, and she'll, I think they say there's going to be 42 of them in here, 42 spirits in here. And we're keeping them actually outside the snow globe and letting one in at a time. And it's amazing. You have to remember that this is all channeled stuff. As I'm reading this came through Marissa, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing that this stuff comes through.
And that was in my first year of channeling.
Yeah.
Second year of channeling.
Well, we started in 2012.
Yeah.
And it took us 2 years to get our first book out. Well, that's because we didn't know what we were doing. And so...
still don't.
Yeah, we still don't. We can't even remember the names of the titles of our books. So, anyway, but they're all good.
They're all good.
They are all good. So anyway, let me just start reading. It says, "Okay, thank you, God, for bringing us together tonight. We come calling our guides, angels, and teachers to help us. First and foremost, we'd like to ask if there's anyone or anything that's not for our highest
and best good. Oh my God, I just saw
good.
Lucifer fly in and say, stop! And then you said, anything that's not for our highest and best good, but I see this beautiful angel. He's very beautiful. Anyways, okay, go ahead, sorry.
If there are any earthbound spirits or anyone who is not 100% in alignment with the Christ consciousness, calling in Archangel Michael and the other angels to remove them now. If there are any beings that are not of the light, you are not welcome to this home. Calling into Abraham, Eden, Dolores, ask that Jesus come into this room tonight. Surround us with your light, protect us, and we ask that any information that comes through tonight regarding the questions we have be for our highest and best good, as well as those who may possibly read it or be told about it in the future. Calling Mary Magdalene, calling Papa, Ascended Masters, calling Papa's Ascended Masters, his angels, archangels, cherubim, calling in the whole plane.
Well, the cherubim are huge.
Amen. God, we have time. We have time, different guides. Jeremiah, he's really tall.
What's interesting to me right now is now that either the planet has shifted or I have shifted since in the last 7 years. I've had 2 kids since then, right?
Yeah.
And that reconnects us to God. I feel like I am it's probably like 6 houses back that way up, looking down on us. You're itty bitty bitty bitty. I'm itty bitty bitty like back then, and then I see Eden over there. I see you said Jeremiah, and he looked like a pretty big person there.
Yeah.
And then, but I saw Lucifer almost look like a hand blocking all the earthbound spirits, saying, "Don't go in there. You're mine." Like Lucifer keeps the earthbound spirits for himself. I have no idea what that was about. And then Archangel Michael came and he was a big fist, and he went and he punched, but it went straight through Lucifer, and Lucifer kept keeping the ghosts back. Why is he keeping ghosts out of the room at that point?
Well, at some point, ghosts are mentioned in here because you'll see.
But they must belong to Lucifer if they stay there.
Yeah, because they call them dark beings.
Oh, yeah, because he's like, no, you're mine, you're not allowed to go in there. Because probably if they were to cross through, they'd get sucked into the light over there by all the ascended masters, and they'd cross over. He's not letting them cross over.
Yeah, they mentioned, there are people that chase ghosts, but that was in reference to the fact that people chase ETs as well.
Yeah.
Everybody's curious about ETs, and there are other people who are interested in ghosts, and they have their little machines and whatever, and they go, "Oh, there's a ghost in here." Well, it's not one ghost.
Great, now you have an attachment. You're going to be depressed and tired, and your kid's going to be crazy.
Yeah, that's what it says. So, anyway.
Oh, they put that in there?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny. Okay.
Remember, this is all channeled by Marissa. And I said, maybe somebody knows about the pyramids. Answering, he says he's an ascended master. The ascended masters have been showing themselves to me as an incarnation of theirs. 144,000 ascended masters, and they all watch over our planet. And there's probably a handful of famous ones like Saint Germain.
Yeah, thank you very much, he says.
Things like that. But everybody has a few ascended masters that watch over. I would just hate to look up to see who Jeremiah was or which ascended master he is.
He says, if you try 7, everybody has 7 ascended masters.
Wow, that's cool.
Now, not before.
She goes on, like Abraham is El Moriah, but I'll tell you about it next time, so I'll just hit record on here. The Temple of Ur. And I said, turn on the tape. Marissa said, I just did. They just said the Temple of Ur, E-R, that they mentioned in the beginning. I corrected her and said it's U-R. It was Ur. She says, okay, when they said that, I heard Eden say, that's where the original Indian race came from. This is where the seeding began.
Oh, we were talking about that last night.
We were talking about
seeding last night, that they're seeding us through the vaccines.
But that's nowhere near India because they said it was in the Middle East. So anyways, that's what I got so far. But Eden's all into this. She's super excited. Well, she's Egyptian, right? I said, yeah. And she's probably all excited. Let me see. She's saying that there are many races and many people that have come through onto this planet that have started in one place and then been transported into other places. As the race or DNA, the race corresponding with the DNA did not adapt to any certain area or any part of the earth. This race would then be discontinued and brought into another part of the earth. The different races of people did not all necessarily come from other planets. The souls may have, but there are many, many beings that have come from other planets that incorporated themselves into the human race.
I have a question. Who are we talking to? Are we talking to Eden? This is
I
Eden.
think this is Eden, yeah.
Hey Eden, so question for you. I thought the souls made the human beings. How would the human beings and the souls not be connected? Oh, yeah, I have to leave now because my mind is too... okay. She always shakes her head at me like I'm just like she does it to you too.
It's like we're so stupid.
I know, like, oh God, here they go again.
I know.
She says,
but she's not mean about it.
She's not mean. She's more like a mother or a wife would like be like, oh God, here he goes again to my dad.
Yeah.
And like a mother to me or something. She goes, here's what you must understand.
Your elemental body is created by the earth, made by the earth, goes back to the earth. It's like a tree. It's like a gnome, a fairy, all these elemental creatures. And that is what you are. You're also a human being. And you're also a soul. And all of these the fact that you're called multidimensional, it's not multidimensional for no reason. It means that you can be any of those things. So you can be the man beast, you can be the fairy, the gnome, the earth creature, or you can be the soul. And the soul is quite literally a light body that is created in the image of God himself, or the creator of this reality, Christ, if you will. And that soul is created in the image of God. So that soul can then imagine or fantasize or pretend to, or be asleep and be dreaming that they're inside of this man beast or this elemental creature, which fuse into each other as one in essence, because they're in the same body. But by saying that some beings came from other places, like souls came from other places, souls can come from other places, and those souls can project down and almost like a puppet the human being that has the elemental creature in it that is trying to ascend and become, basically in essence, become human. So the elemental creature is trying to ascend and take over the human body and say, now I'm a big huge man beast. And the soul is, up until 2012, was okay with just standing back, but now the souls are embodying the man beast, so to speak, and making them human, which is God man, and the elemental beings are staying inside the earth or leaving. So there's a piece of you that's always going to have come from earth, because you're technically not the soul, you're not the man beast, you're not the elemental, you are the eye. You're the observer. You're the, as they say, the GoPro. You are source. You are the Father, the Mother. You're the Trinity, all together, all as one. But you're that speck or that spark of life or light that resides within each of those. And it's up to you to decide which one you want to live in. If you're living in a elemental creature, then you're going to be more feeling. If you live in a soul, you're going to be more wise and feeling. If you're living in man, you're more autistic in nature, because you're just either you're not in touch with your emotions, but the elemental and the soul have emotions. But beings do come from other realities and other worlds, and souls will take those over to come into this reality, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, I think they do. Does you want me to continue?
Yeah.
Okay, Eden continues. She says, but there are many universes, many star systems that have blended with the human beings to help raise the conscious level of the DNA that the human beings carry. The strands in which human beings carry are not fully activated, in the sense that only a certain amount at this time are being used in the conscious thinking and the growing of the human mind. The psyche, the intelligence in other races.
I knew nothing about DNA at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, this is all
I wouldn't be able to channel this now because I know about DNA. I wouldn't be able to channel it this authentically.
Yeah. The psyche, the intelligence in other races and other places, there is much more DNA that is able to be revealed throughout a lifetime, therefore allowing for longer lifetimes. The earth is moving in this direction, and there are many beings from, we were talking about that yesterday, how so many people were living into their 90s and the hundreds now. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was unheard of 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, usually people were dying in their 70s. Now people are they're in the 90s. I mean, all these famous people are dying. Some in their late 80s, like 87, 88. But a lot of them are living to 93, 94. I mean, Dianne Feinstein, our senator, is like 88 years old.
Like 190. She looks like she's gonna lose an arm.
She might have dementia, but she's probably going to still live another 10 years. And who was it? McCain's mother just died, and she was, I think, 104 or 105.
Well, great. Mama Chula, didn't she live to like 105?
Yeah, she
That's my
lived to
great
about
grandma.
100.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got some good DNA in you.
Like, do I want to live that long, man? No, I think in anti-aging, all the anti-aging stuff that's out these days, Eden's saying that. She says in Egypt, she says we used to use the serum from the mind of those that passed to inject into those who were living to reverse their age.
Wow.
We would use this in order, and those that died naturally
During
out of
the Egyptian
disease.
time?
Yes, those that did not die of disease, those that just fell asleep and left, because this is what we knew how to do, would still leave life force within them, and that life force would then be injected into the bellies of those pharaohs and the kings and those that wanted to live long lives. So they lived very long lives by using the life force energy of those who chose to leave their bodies not through illness, but if you were to take the serum from those that were ill, then the others would get ill. But this was actually a job that many had, to be born, to be perfectly healthy, and then to give of one's life or sacrifice one's life for another to live longer. It was a ritualistic thing, and it was an honor. It was an honor to give a king or a pharaoh more life. That's weird, Eden. She goes.
That's the way it was.
I know. She was like.
That's the way it was.
She's like, just telling you.
Yeah. Okay, there's, going back one sentence, there's much more DNA that is able to be revealed throughout a lifetime, therefore allowing for longer lifetimes. The earth is moving in this direction, and there are many beings from outside of this world that are helping. And sometimes it seems as if there are even more that are trying to destroy this world. So this is a battle between light and dark going on around us at all times, whereas human beings are unable to see this, for it is happening in another dimension. But it is affecting this earth. And I said, that battle is going on today. Eden responds, the battle is going on today. The battle has been going on, but as the vibration of the planet raises, the vibration of the planet raises closer and closer to the higher dimensions. The physical bodies that remain dense in the third dimension are beginning to be able to access fourth dimensional and possibly fifth dimensional energies, entities, people, spirits, as you would say. We're able to, on the earth plane, see and feel these things. So this is why the darkness is coming in to try to stop the light from bringing this in. You were just talking about that, Lucifer, and he's stop. He's just trying to stop.
Yeah.
So this is why the darkness is coming in to try to stop the light from bringing this in. For as people are able to access these higher dimensions while still in a dense physical body, as they're able to access these higher dimensions, they will be able to make a choice. They'll be able to make a choice between light and dark. And the dark wants nothing more than to convince those who are blind as an infant, that can hardly see. If you say that there are 1 million things in
Blind
front
as an infant, or blind like an infant, or wait, read that?
blind as an infant.
Oh, okay.
So just
Infants can't see. That's right.
can't see
Can't
anything.
see their mom's
Don't-
face.
Yeah. They can hardly see. If you say that there are 1 million things in front of a human being in the third dimension, they can only see 1/10 of one of these things. And before this could see nothing. So those that can see 1/10 of one of those million things do not have the education and do not know what is light and what is dark. And this way we have preached. Let me read that. And this way we have preached, and this is why we have told you what the Christ light this allows. This allows no darkness in. But this does not mean the darkness will not try, whether it be through spirits, or be through beings from other universes and other planets.
So wait real quick. 1 million divided by, or 1/10 of 1.
1/10 of 1 of the million. So
1 of the 1 million, and you divide that by 10, so it's a tenth of 1, so it's 0.10.
yeah,
So 0.10 divided by 1,000,000.
that's going to be very small. Very
So
small.
that's what we can see. 0.000. Ooh, 6 zeros.
That's what we can see when there's a million things around us.
Yeah, so if we have 1 million
answer.
things around us, this is how many things we can see. 0.000001. Let me ask them now if there's a ratio. They all started laughing. They said negative 1,000.
Wow.
Like we can't see anything now.
No.
We're completely blind because we're completely masked and we're completely shrouded in fear, and we're stuck in a false reality. So we're in the real world at this point. That's why I like reading these books, because we're still in the real world. We haven't gotten sucked into the like Illuminati world or the media world yet.
Yeah, we are very, very.
It was very innocent times.
Yeah. So, for they take on the form of a spirit, say a medium will believe this is a spirit. But this is truly a being from another world visiting in the astral planes, so that the medium can see them. So a discretion, discernment, and an understanding of what is out there is very important. And this is why we're excited to bring this subject through, so that a better understanding could be brought to this world, and the understanding that there are those who believe in aliens, there are those who believe in spirits, there are those who believe in religion. But understanding that, although it's a very small population of the earth that do believe in being ETs, the aliens, they are a very real thing. And understanding and seeing that these ETs, these aliens, have spirits inside them, and as you say, spirits, they have light within them. Understanding those beings will help people to understand, will help the people who are seeking information about the quote-unquote aliens, these humans from other worlds. It will help them come it will help them come to an understanding in spirituality. It will help them. If we can compare the people who look for aliens to people who look for ghosts, these people who look for ghosts will be surrounded by darkness. They'll be surrounded by 5, 10, 15, hundreds of ghosts, and this will affect their life. This will affect their life, but they see when their little machine goes off, their little machine says, there's a ghost. And they are intrigued, so they remain open. These ghosts surrounding this person and parasiting their light cause sickness in the human body. This is the same case for those who are seeking out and trying to find these aliens. For there are good ones and there are bad ones.
When we wrote the alien book, we were like at each other's throats.
Yeah, it was
horrible.
Yeah, especially when we were dealing with the Anunnaki.
I'm listening. I'm just going to grab my coffee. Do you want a glass of water?
I've got, my throat keeps getting dry. I've still got this coffee, and I've got some apple juice over there as well. So basically, to summarize, we've got ETs all around us right now. Some are good, some are bad, and there are also ghosts, and those are probably people who are trapped somewhere between the third and the fourth dimension.
That's only if you're in the emotional realm. She says.
People who commit suicide.
She's saying, yes, people that commit suicide, she says, but there's different realms and different dimensions, but just look at it like a scale. Look at it like if you weigh a soul when it dies, and it has all these emotions it hasn't processed, it's going to be very heavy. It's going to be very fat, and it's going to stay here because it can't float away. if there's someone who dies, their ghost or their soul inside of them that was created by their big soul. So their big soul, and then they make a little tiny soul, she's showing me like an egg making another egg, and that egg has like the consciousness, and the white stuff around the egg is like their soul matter. That egg goes into like the back of the person and just kind of like drives them like a little whoop, like a little light, like an egg, like lighting up and just guiding and leading them. But it's with a remote control with the big soul up there. But she says, but that takes on all the emotions and the feelings. So you can imagine a green egg, because it takes on all the emotions and feelings. And if you don't process it, that will stay down here even though the physical body has died. That soul will think that it's the physical body, and it'll stay down here, stuck down here. So those aren't necessarily the ghosts. The ghosts are the ones where the consciousness in the middle, like the middle of the egg, leaves and goes back to the main soul, and just like the shell of the life of the being remains, but there's no being in it. She says there's a lot of those right now. She says there's a lot of those that are here on this planet because of the emotions and the fear that have not been processed through, say, this quote unquote, she says quote unquote, pandemic that the world has created around a natural ascension cycle of a planet. For the ascension cycle is the ascension cycle. People are going to die. They're going to say, I don't want to go on to a world where it's an odyssey and it's perfect, and I don't have to get mad and sad, and I don't get to experience being depressed, and I don't get to experience fear. Souls like to experience fear. Why do you guys go to amusement parks and scare the mind out of yourself, racing down tracks and going through water and looping around? It's because you souls are crazy and you like to feel that rush. And that's what a lot of souls would miss if they were to go into a Christed reality where everything's forgiveness and love and the consciousness of a 12-year-old and that hasn't hit puberty yet. So this is kind of where the world is Earth is trying to head, but a lot of souls don't want to go there. So they would literally rather die and incarnate again onto the planet that's like Earth. But what the beings that are in charge of Earth are doing, the ones that fell, they were trying to keep the same Earth. They don't want to go to another Earth. They want to stay on the same Earth that they created, that they tilled, that they made. But what's happening is they're trying to tinker with the DNA of the man so that they can continue to incarnate into a man that was evolving into this Christ-like being that was all forgiving. But these souls, they're too heavy to go into beings with such enlightened DNA. It just doesn't match. It doesn't fit. They can't merge with that. So they're trying to de-evolve the beings so that these ghosts, or these just the white part of the egg where the consciousness is left, the Christ consciousness is left, where these can then be paired up with consciousnesses that chose to stay but had no spirit, which is the white part of the egg. They have no soul, so they're pairing up that consciousness with that earthbound soul, and then they're incarnating them into human beings at this time. So there's a lot of man creating man, and we say man creating man because these are dead people creating a reality where dead people can continue to incarnate in their old world because they want to live in fear. They like it. It's fun. They like politics. They like religion. They like duality. They like fighting. They like arguing. Just imagine a life with never, ever getting in an argument, ever. Many of you right now would say, oh, that's boring. And that's because you're human beings living on this planet. But if you were to experience what it's like to not have that, you would realize it's way more fun the other way, because that's why kids have so much fun. It's magical. Kids have magical lives because everything is just so blissful and fun, and they find a stick, and that stick becomes a magic wand, and they go and they play with that stick for hours on end because they're children and they're living in their spirit. And that's the way that you would be living right now, but the world has fallen into the fourth dimension. So when you say there's a lot of aliens and ghosts and things living around beings, that's only the ones that are choosing to live in fear. And it is a choice, people. It's a choice. It's a choice to live in fear. You don't have to live in fear. You can choose to not listen to outside sources and feel what's inside and know that there's nothing to be afraid of. There never has been and there never will be. And then you won't experience the ghosts and all the zombies and all the weird energies that are surrounding us at this time. She says, I'm done.
Okay.
Mary's here, by the way.
Mary's here now too.
Mary and Eden are talking and they're gossiping over in the corner.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know they were friends.
So I finish with, for there are good ones and there are bad ones, in your terms, for there is really no truly good or bad. There is high vibration and there is low vibration. There is Christ light and there are those without the light.
That's what she just said.
So please understand, we are bringing these all together for you now and plan to over the next 4 months in these taping sessions and in these sessions in which we bring to you, so that we have brought in specialists. We have brought in people, as you would say, energies.
And we dumped them and went a different direction.
But I think we incorporated a
No,
lot
she
of
says
it.
we dumped them. She says we should do it now.
Oh boy, well let's keep going then.
Okay.
Consciousness, so that they can bring this information together. But I will remain a spokesperson, Eden, just as I have in the past.
Eden speaks.
And I said, as Eden? She answered yes. And I said, okay, simple question then. These beings that were here on earth at the time of the Egyptians, and we can go into all the other pyramids later, but the Egyptian pyramids, were they low-level, dark beings, or were they high-level, light beings? She responds, these were high-level light beings that traveled, as you would say, for they do not necessarily need to travel when they are at this high of a vibration, rising into the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th vibrations. These are high-level beings that do not need to take a ship to Earth. But these high vibrational beings also have the counterpart of those that are the lower vibrational beings that want Earth. They want Earth as their own, for they have lost their planets. They have blown their planets up. They have
Gail was talking about Mars
destroyed.
last night.
What's that?
Gail was talking about Mars last night. We should share this with her.
That's right. Yeah, she
Astral projected.
astral projected to Mars for the government.
Yeah, she was with the government trying to find her daughter that was missing, and they gave her coordinates. She actually, I didn't know she got trained by David Morehouse. That's huge. David Morehouse is amazing. I got trained by someone that was trained by David Morehouse because I'm a remote viewer. And she astral projected. She didn't know where she was because they don't tell you. They just give you a coordinate. And when they finally told her, oh, you were on Mars, because she saw the cameras up there, but she saw people like us there, but they had left because they were too greedy and mean and arrogant and egotistical. So Earth councils let them come here, but Earth was so arrogant to think that, oh, well, we're so good that we can let these horrible people on here and we'll change them. But instead, the people from Mars changed us.
Well, our book Earth's Mysteries, which is pretty much authored by Osiris, talks about the Martians.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and how they came here. They were part of creating the giants. So that's really interesting in our book. What's it called again?
I don't know. We need to name it something that's really easy, like I don't know.
Yeah.
Help us, guys. If someone wants to read it and tell us what to name it, tell us, because we're not good at naming books
Yeah.
at all.
What is it?
I think it's the Earth's Mysteries.
Yeah, Earth's Mysteries.
That's real original. I think there's probably about 5 million books called that.
Yeah, probably.
But
So let's see, where did I leave off here? It goes, let's see.
Julia says, it's great to see you and hear you.
Who's
Hi,
that?
Julia. Julia, she's the emoji queen.
Oh,
I love
okay.
all her emojis.
Hi, everybody. Okay, whether it's through incarnation of their beings onto this planet to help lower the vibration and bring the vibration into their vibration, this is something that they've tried to do. This is something that they tried to do many times. For the transmitters in the etheric plane in which they place into the human beings is something in which they're able to track.
Wait, what? Hold on, wait. Back. I was too busy showing everyone that you shaved your face. Wait, what was that? What the trackers, high level beings that do. So they're themselves. Okay, wait. Whether it's through what? The trackers?
Let me go back here. But these high vibrational beings also have the counterpart of those that are the lower vibrational beings that want Earth. They want Earth as their own, for they have lost their planets. They have blown their planets up. They've destroyed their planets. So there are many beings in the universes that would like to take over Earth with themselves, with their beings, whether it's through incarnation of their beings onto this planet to help lower the vibration and bring the vibration into their vibration. This is something that they try to do. This is something that they tried to do many times. For the transmitters in the etheric plane in which they place into the human beings is something in which they're able to track what human beings are thinking.
Jab,
what,
jab, 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 jab.
What their
That's what all the guys are saying. Jab, 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 jab.
the vaccination jab.
Yeah, it's going into the etheric body. The only way you can get into the etheric body is through the skin, because God is our skin. This is what my higher self was saying. So that it's the trackers, that lowering the frequency of the body through the transmitters or trackers. It's not to read the people; it's to put something into the people. This is 2014.
2014.
This is 7 years ago.
Yeah, and they're able to track what human beings are thinking, feeling, seeing. I mean,
And they already do that with our phones.
we're talking about the little metal things that are going in through the vaccinations.
It's like with chipping your dog.
That attach to the 5G towers.
It's not 5G, it's 4G. It goes through 4G. That's why 4G gets so scrambly.
But they can track anybody, and they can track anybody's feelings.
They don't need the towers. They need so Einstein's here. Oh, great. He's such a know-it-all. Okay, that's Rosemary. She doesn't like Einstein either. Mm-hmm. He goes...
Well, again, we got 42 of them here.
Yeah, well, Einstein's here, and Sir Isaac Newton and him are always fighting.
Yeah.
And, okay, so they just... they curse each other out. They just don't like each other. Didn't Sir Isaac Newton create the light bulb? Or
Sir Isaac Newton, I believe, discovered gravity.
Okay, whatever. They both think that they created the most amazing thing. So Einstein says, you have to understand that everything here is spiritual, not necessarily science. And Newton says, it's all science! And Einstein says, it's not science, it's spiritual. And Newton punches him in the head, and they're like fighting like Snoopy in Woodstock, where like a leg is sticking out and then an arm. And then, what's his name? Not Vespa. The car that what's his name has. Tesla comes in, and he's like walking in. He says, they stole my technology.
Yeah.
They stole it. But
the government did.
The way that everything is read, the way that everything is done is through battery power, through the generation of energy within a component that sits within one. And that component that sits within one generates the energy required to send off the signals within the mind that is all-knowing, and that mind can then read anything. These transmitters are just lowering the frequency of the ability for the mind to generate the energy within the battery, within the body, to read these things. So those of you who are not shrouded in transmitters, shrouded in electronics, you can read the minds of other people. But if you've got 15 television boxes going and you go, hey, that's Jesus. He's the only one that calls them a television box. Jesus is like guilty. It's him, and he's. Oh, you want to know why? Because Tesla's not good.
Tesla's in our Earth's Mysteries book.
Yeah, Tesla is not good. Tesla always makes me really angry. So Jesus is being the gatekeeper.
Yeah, but he's very bright.
Oh yeah. He says, but the battery power generated within one human being, if connected to a home, could power a home.
Oh yeah, he can. They
could power 15 homes all at once and continue to generate energy for this. And we realize there are movies about things like this. And then you will say, oh, that can't be true because that's just in a movie. No, movies are created about reality. Movies are created about the true essence of what life truly is. All sci-fi is not real. No, that's not the case. But some of the basic concepts. However, this is what we would like to share. These transmitters, don't look at it as someone spying on you. Look at it more as someone blocking you from connecting with your higher self. And your higher self is inside of you. So when this was channeled, and now you can ask yourself right now, please take me into the me that I was when this was channeled. At the time that they channeled this, take me into the me that I was then and show me what I feel like. And now show me who I am now in relation to that me. And you'll see that it's a very, very, very different person, especially since this is 7 years ago. It is 7 years ago, huh?
Yeah.
Just 7 years ago. 7 years ago. Not one cell in your body is the same cell that you had at this time when this was channeled.
That's right. It takes 7 years to completely rid your body of cells.
Yes, and this is why we like reading the old channelings, because this brings back the old cells that are guides that were within this channel at that time, thereby bringing back the cellular memory of that which was us, but not bringing back all the old thoughts and patterns and beliefs and ideas, because mostly memories, cells change, bodies change. The only thing that doesn't change is, and this is quite interesting indeed, fat. Fat carries memories, and fat kills. Not to say that you shouldn't have any fat, but this is something that we were speaking of last night. You didn't know it was me. He was talking, I guess, about how obese people are dying from COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, he must be one of Janice's guides or something like that, because she was talking about that.
Yeah.
He says, but understand that this is nothing to be afraid over, and this is what we need to make very, very clear, because some of you over there are just so dramatic, and we can hear your minds going, oh, I forgot transmitters all over me. Oh, what am I going to do? You love this stuff. You love it. You love the drama and just the excitement, and just, you know who I'm talking about, and we can just feel it. So we don't mean to burst your bubble, but these transmitters can very easily be gotten rid of by bringing your mind above them. And there's exercises and things that you can do. Many of you already know how to do this, but implant removal, things of this sort that this channel does during her classes, and that can do during this class later. But understand and know that this is not to make you afraid. It's to make you aware of how much history will continue to repeat itself if all of you do not start to understand and know that this is real. It's real, and real isn't really real, but it's real enough to feel, and real enough to feel means it's real enough to experience, and experience is reality. And you want to live the best reality that you can possibly live, rather than living in fear, because if you're in fear, then you're shrouded with those consciousnesses that Eden spoke of, that didn't have the outside of the egg. They're showing like an egg. The yellow part's the consciousness. The egg is like the story or what it lives in. Mm-hmm. And those consciousnesses right now are bad, not bad, but they're the Antichrist consciousnesses. They didn't go back to Christ. So they're kind of like the Masons and all the ritualistic groups that keep the consciousness there. They'll trap them, and then they'll let them go live in new babies. Mm-hmm. That's gross. Mm. That's kind of scary. Those are the level 1 souls.
Yeah, they talk about level 1 and level 2 here very shortly.
Oh, okay.
There are many human beings that are incarnated on this planet. They're incarnates of these planets, such as the Greys or the Reptilians. These are the areas of the universe in which we avoid, for there is no light. There is no light at all. This is not demonic force. These are actual beings with no light, and this is just pure ego, pure pride, pure anger, for they want to take over. And I ask, are they here now? Eden responds, yes.
The government.
Back to the original question. What we would like to say is there's many, they always say that, what we would like to say.
I know. That's what we should name the book, What We'd Like to Say.
Yeah. What we would like to say is there's many light beings that are affording themselves to the earth plane to help raise the vibration. because they believe in the earth. For many of them have been incarnations on the earth. For many are seeds from the earth. So bringing their vibration, bringing their technology, bringing their knowledge, and bringing the information that they have to give to earth is something that's very important to them. Please understand that many of these beings from other worlds lived in the Atlantean days. They lived the other days prior to the earth being destroyed. For they have gone to other planets and lived, and they now see, and they see now on earth, where the conscious level of the humans are raising to the point where the humans are becoming aware of something outside of, oh, this is my hand, oh, this is my head, oh, this is my leg. They're understanding that there's something outside of this flesh, outside this flesh casing in which the human beings are living in. So the higher vibrational beings are coming in to help raise the vibration so that this can happen faster.
Question real quick, are the higher vibrational beings incarnating into us, or are they just coming in as guides? This is Jesus. He goes, this is a very good question. He says, this is a very good question indeed. He says there's many that are having to incarnate into what will we say? It's artificially inseminated.
Yeah.
Petri dish kids.
Okay.
Many of them are having to be incarnated in through this way, because when a child is not created out of love, a certain soul, that story comes in. If they're created out of lust, another soul is created. So when one is created out of complete mind or desire for the child, like really, really true desire for the child, many times this is real love. Like, but we really want a child really bad. So many times these high-level light beings are coming in this way, but there's other people who are just saying, I don't really want to have a kid, so let's just make one over here and then have someone else surrogate it and have it, and that's a different story. And it's not one or the other, but this is what I'm trying to explain, is that human beings are very complex, and there's a lot of emotions that run through human beings, and an immaculate conception, so to speak, which is what Christ, I was in essence, it was an artificial insemination.
Yeah. In the fourth dimension.
Yes, whereby two beings, energies were wrapped together, whereby a casing was created so that the light being can live in that casing. That casing then thereby becomes impregnated itself, having the embryo itself within it, creates the human body, and then that human body then goes and the woman becomes pregnant with it. So there's almost like a threefold birthing process when a light being comes into this world, but we won't get into that. It's very complicated. We can talk about it some other time. What your question is, he's talking to me, is that you want to know whether they're incarnating or whether they're coming in and possessing. Those that are suicidal, those that were very, very mean, angry people that were just so miserable, and all of a sudden they're just skipping and clicking their heels, they may have chosen to forego their life and allow one of these light beings to take over. So many beings at this point, from January to about July of 2020, January to July of 2020, many beings just went, excuse me, I don't want to be here anymore, and they were swapped. So whether these light beings came from other worlds, and no, Joe, they didn't have to take ships, but because of the fact that they were traveling into this reality, many beings that saw with their third eye from the third dimension, they saw them as ships. They saw them as aliens walking. Oh, I saw the aliens walking onto the beach. Yeah. Like he says, he was calling me Marissa. That's so nice. He says, Marissa saw the people walking onto the beach, the souls walking up from the ocean onto the shores. This was more of a third dimensional, third eye view of what was truly happening from the higher dimensions, where these light beings were actually coming down and merging and taking over bodies of those that did not want to be here anymore. And those souls that left are good. They're fine. They're good. They are okay. They are not in hell. They're not burning anywhere. They just chose to let something else take over. And this also includes people who have passed, that you think have passed. Many times they allowed for their etheric body to be taken over by one of these light beings, whereby their consciousness left and it's fine. The light body's taken over, and it's now an incarnated, non-sentient being. So it's not a being that you can see, but it's incarnated here in a little bit higher of a frequency, so you can't see them, but there's another world that goes on around you here that's good. And these light beings are living and doing their thing, and this is what happened with he says with her brother-in-law.
Whose brother?
Brian.
Oh, Brian.
He chose his consciousness to go, and he chose to let a higher level of himself step into the casing of his physical body, which is probably why I can't connect with him ever. But it's and that's why he said he's the man of the cloth now, and he's here to raise the vibration of the planet. Interesting. So they're not angelic beings; they're just very high level, smart beings, and they're like higher versions of the consciousness that chose to leave, because they're not really doing much of anything with what they're doing with their life. That's interesting. Does anybody know anybody that changed a lot? I know probably like 2 or 3 people that changed a lot. That's all it. Pretty much everybody else got worse. For me. See if anyone has any questions. Yeah. Oh yes, Aaron. That's a good point. Aaron says that's why you see him as having a life sometimes. Yeah, I see him as married with the kid and all that stuff sometimes. Brian, I see him. That's interesting. Yeah, that's true. Wow, that explains that. Remind me about that later, Aaron, because I'll forget.
Maybe in the 4th dimension he's married and has kids.
It's in an alternate reality of this reality that affects this reality, and it's a good reality. Like, we're living in the shadow of a perfect reality, and by living in the shadow of a perfect reality, we're having fun as souls, going, "Woo, this is cool." We're living in Satan's world, whereas over there it's in Jesus's world or Christ's world. I don't know why we'd enjoy living in a world of fear.
Enjoy living in a world
That's what they're saying. That Jesus is saying. He says, you guys are there because you enjoy being there. You enjoy the adrenaline rush. You enjoy the rush of not knowing what's going to happen. Living in a world where you know what's going to happen. You never stub your toe. You never wake up late. You never go to sleep late. You don't really sleep. Everything's perfect. He says, believe me. He says, you've chosen to be there because it's fun. So have fun. Peter's like, yeah, have fun. And he's turning one of those things that goes, when you spin it at a party.
Yeah.
He's spinning one of those around, going like, woo! And he has a big finger that says Jesus rocks. Like the big foam finger from the baseball games or football games.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Wow.
Jesus rocks. He says, you called me the rock the other night. I'm not the rock. Jesus is the rock, and I stand upon him.
But Jesus referred to Peter as the rock.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, now Peter's calling Jesus the rock.
That's cool.
That's really funny.
Okay, Eden continues. She says, but understand that when the vibration of something is raised so quickly, chaos does happen. For there are many that will be trapped in the 3rd dimension. There are many who will only see the 3rd dimension, whereas other people around them will be sensing the 4th dimension. You see this in healers. You see this in people who begin meditating, that they do not understand Christ. They begin meditating and opening themselves up to this new world, and they're seeing and feeling and sensing things that they have never seen and felt and sensed before, and it is affecting their life. So bringing in this technology and bringing in this knowledge from other worlds, these beings are helping to raise the vibration and to educate. They're here to educate, for they are in communication with many people on this planet, and they do not even realize it. So please know, back in those days that you speak of, those beings were coming in to help bring technology to raise the vibration of the planet in these days and in those days.
So these days and in the Egyptian days, like 6,000 years ago. Okay.
And I said, could they be seen as human beings in to the indigenous people at that time. The response: there are many times that there was a holographic image that is being brought down as an avatar, as you would say. Something that looked like a human being would come in and would speak with them. There are others that were the mystics of that time.
The holy men.
The shamans, the mystics, the priests, the priestesses. They would communicate with the, as you would say, heavens. And these beings would come in as gods. They would come in as different divinities, different devas, different beings that are bringing information to them. So as you see, back in the Egyptian days,
They're showing them to me now, and that they're coming in as like gods or whatever then, and the people were looking at them, and I could see like the doors opening, and the way I see them now is they're just us in like Star Trek outfits. So it was just the higher level versions of themselves coming to them from the future,
right?
helping them to create whatever they need to create so that in the future could experience whatever the future wanted to experience.
They're trying to create a higher dimensional world.
Beaconing system is what they're saying. They're trying to create a beaconing system where the future could communicate with the past, because the future we blew Earth up. So we were in ships going, okay, let's go to the past and let's build these pyramids that cannot be defeated and can't fall apart, and even if we blow ourselves up, we'll still have these beaconing systems within and we'll know what real Earth is, because real Earth is the only Earth that will have these certain attributes to them with the pyramids, because the creative realities that we get trapped within, and all of the different realities that we get trapped within our mind, and all the convoluted delusions that we have, the pyramids are not in those, so to speak. The pyramids are in the reality that is real, that's dirt, that's made of
the earth.
Of the earth, yes. The pyramids are on the real earth. And there can be the false pyramids and the created pyramids that we create in our mind, but there is not the beaconing systems within them that lie anywhere between 600 to 800 miles?
Well, in
Is that feet beneath
there's
the...
mysteries. They speak of the pyramids as beacons, as being on meridians that allow communication.
Oh, well, that makes sense then, because
But the indigenous people looked at them as
temples or
temples, as temples to bury their kings.
Well, just as we showed this, that this is Eden talking, just as we showed this channel in Salt Lake City when visiting most recently, was much of the town is covered in, it's a third dimensional town. Only way to reach out and into the higher dimensional planes to send out the radio signals to connect with the higher selves. Think of the higher selves as the actual radio towers sending out the information, and think of yourself as under a dome that can't get any of the information. The only way to get that information is to go into the temples that are created with the golden statue on top that is sticking out. So you go into the temple, you're able to connect to your higher self. You leave that town, you're able to connect to your higher self. But there's many towns, many places on this planet where it's very, very, very 3D. And at the time in Egypt, it was very 2 and 3D. So the only way to connect to this real reality, this real world, was through these beacons, through the pyramids, through the top of the pyramids. This is a way to connect with the true self, the real self, which lies outside of this reality. But now everyone can connect with this, but we're all wanting to get de-evolved so that we forget that we are our higher selves. Now we are those big beings that we were trying to connect with this entire time. We have the ability to be that, but everyone says, oh, no, I don't want to have that much responsibility. I don't want to be able to create my reality. I don't want to be held responsible. What if I'm wrong? I'll look stupid. Oh, I have so much shame. And shame truly is something that we really need to work on in this group, in this group, everyone involved. Shame and fear and pride, because that's the thing on the earth right now is shame, fear, and pride that are keeping the earth from evolving and staying evolved. And those that are in charge of this planet are just having a field day with this shame, pride, and fear heyday that everybody is just contributing to. That was what's his name? Not Sir Isaac Newton. That was
Tesla?
It wasn't Tesla. It's
Einstein?
Freud.
Freud's in here too.
Yeah,
Oh my
Freud.
gosh.
It's like our whole soul group is in here.
There's a lot of people here.
Yeah, that's Freud.
Okay, let me continue. So as you see, back in the Egyptian days, the amount of gods and goddesses that they had, many of these were beings from other planets, coming in as something that they would understand, as something greater than them. For if they came in as someone looking just like them, they would not believe them.
That's what you said.
Yeah, talking about
By
the indigenous people had to see these giants
Yeah.
as something greater than them.
Instead of having them show up to be them.
Yeah, if they came in looking just like the indigenous people, they wouldn't be believed.
Well, it's
So-
kind of like Jesus, or how Jesus came in as Andrew instead of Jesus, because I wouldn't believe that Jesus would ever talk to me.
That's right. Yeah, that's the way you were in the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, they would, let's see, they would not believe them. So know that there are many channels and prophets during those times, and these are those who the information would come through.
Wait, let me have a hard time here. Erin says, oh my God. She says, connection cut out when you said shame, pride, and fear.
Really?
Can you hear us?
How far back? Shame, pride, and fear.
Oh. It cut out? So you guys heard shame, pride, and fear? Oh, you want to cut out for Erin? Oh, it's back on now. Okay, cool. We're back on. Cut out for a second when we were talking about shame, pride, and fear.
Do I need to go back and reread this
No, it
whole
was just
section?
me. It was just me talking.
Oh, okay.
But it was Freud who got cut. Freud who cut out.
Okay, for if they came in as someone looking just like them, they would not believe them. So know that there are many channels and prophets during those times, and these are those who the information would come through. The information, like Marissa, the information would come through them, and they would speak. They were called seers. They were called prophets. They would bring this information in. As far as building the pyramids, as far as bringing these pyramids down onto the earth, these are different vestibules, so to speak. These are casings on the different meridians of the earth, just as a body has different meridians. Your body, Joe, has 7 main chakras, but you have over 10,000 meridians in your body. These meridians each do a different thing. They each have a different program, and they each have different things, different signals that send to your brain to say, move arm, raise leg, swing golf club.
That's funny. Swing golf club.
So there are meridians on the earth, and many of the pyramids are built on these meridians so as to bring communication to the grid on the earth. There does not need to be beings, so to speak, communicating with the earth. It is just the conscious level of the other worldly beings, so to speak. But please remember, these other worldly beings are souls, just like you, spirits, just like you. And I said, why pyramids? Why did they build pyramids? And then leave them for the future for people like us to look at them as mysteries. Why are they there? Why did they build them? And I believe they told us once before that they were built in the 4th dimension. So what is answering? These pyramids, those pyramids were built when the earth was at a vibration that they were able to access the 4th dimension. These were, and then Ruth says, hold on, someone else is coming in.
Little girl.
And I asked why, if mankind was so low in its development way back then, how could they be way up in the 4th dimension when they didn't have the knowledge that we have today? Eden answers, knowledge does not bring vibration. Knowledge in some cases lowers the vibration, for it trans and blocks the faith. For those that believed in the gods and the goddesses and understand that life was not under their control, it was under control of the sun and the moon and the god with the elephant head and the 3 arms and all of these
Ganesh,
gods.
right?
Well, there's
The elephant head with the 3 arms, or the 6 or 8 arms.
that's what you would see probably in India, in not the Buddhist, not Islam. What's the
Hindu.
Hindu. Yeah, Hindu. They have gods that have 3 arms, 5 arms,
Yeah.
lots of arms, elephant heads, and things. And there are pyramids on the meridians through India as well. They keep finding them in forests.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I said, why? If mankind was so low in its development way back then how could they be way up in the 4th dimension when they didn't have the knowledge that they have today? And it says, knowledge does not bring vibration. Knowledge in some cases lowers the vibration, for it traps and blocks the faith. For those that believed in the gods and the goddesses and understood that life was not under their control, it was under control of the sun and the moon and the god with the elephant head and the 3 arms. And all of these gods coming in, they understood this. They understood that this was not under their control. So their vibration was actually higher. Their vibration was actually higher.
Faith and lack of control, but being okay with it.
And I asked, whose vibration? And they answered, the human beings. I said, the human beings on Earth? And they responded, the human beings on Earth actually carried a higher vibration at that time, yet still had the human characteristics of eat, sleep, mate, kill. So these things were not looked poorly upon. These things were not looked poorly upon many times back in those days. The laws progressed throughout society, and now it is not okay to take somebody else's life. And it is not okay to torture people. It is not okay to kill babies. This is not something, but the Egyptians in that time, with the high vibration which they were carrying and the vibration of the earth that was residing in that vibration, they brought in far more technology than we have now in terms of the human body. For they understood the etheric body, the astral bodies. They understood the surgeries. And I say, who is they? And responding, the Egyptians is who we're speaking of at this time. The Egyptian human beings on earth? The Egyptian human beings, yes.
King Tut is here. Is that even a real king?
Yes. Tutankhamun.
Yeah, he's here. His hat is huge.
He's real young.
His hat, well, he's tiny and his hat is humongous. He looks like the Mad Hatter.
I went on and said, well, how did they have this great knowledge? Responding, the information was being channeled by other worlds, by spirit, like what Marissa's doing.
King Tut, I see this King Tut person is bringing through all this big channel of information. It was so much information that he couldn't bring through his tiny little mind, that they had to send the information instead in through the king, but in through different things like trees. That's when they started to put information into trees and into water and into the ocean and into the actual nature on earth, rather than just in the pyramids, the structures, and the people. Interesting.
Very interesting. I said, so the builders of the pyramids came from, or the architects of the pyramids came from some other planet somewhere else? Responding, there are a few other planets, star systems, in which we will speak of in terms of Egypt. There are many that contributed to this. Orion, Sirius, the Andromedan galaxy has sent over many of their beings to live on the earth plane, but were not responsible for building these pyramids. For those who built the pyramids were giants in nature. I asked, giants meaning how tall in human terms? If the indigenous human beings at that time had an average height of 6 feet, The answer, 14 to 17 feet tall.
The indigenous people at that time were like 4 feet tall.
Yeah. So humans at that time, the average human being 6 feet tall at that time, probably more like 5 feet. They responded, no, 4 to 5 feet tall.
That's so funny.
4 to 5 feet.
It's just funny that they correct it. I can hear them, but then they go through and it's the same thing that you say right there.
Yeah.
It's funny.
They always say what's coming up. Responding, 4 to 5 feet tall, or asking, 4 to 5 feet tall, sort of like the Michoacans from Machu Picchu. People in South America are very short, the Indians or whatever, so they cohabited the earth at the same time. So as 6 foot, there are 5 foot tall people walking around, and they're walking amongst people who are 14 to 17 feet tall. And the answer, yes. And they believed that they were from other worlds. They believed they were from other worlds. And I asked, did the otherworldly humans enslave the earthly humans, or were the earthly humans willingly willing to work and build the pyramids for them? Responding, they were willing to work and build them, for they felt that they were doing them for the gods. And I asked, so they looked at these people from other planets? Answering, these were shrines. These pyramids were shrines. These pyramids were something of... Is that my phone?
I have something to add real quick.
Go ahead, I'm going to turn this thing off.
You can grab it if you want. They're saying that actually the people that were only 4 feet tall, all they did was the ornate intricacies of the pyramids. That the big beings that were here but not here, like they had a higher frequency. Like it's kind of like when you're at home and all of a sudden things start going crazy. Your kids have been angels all day, and then all of a sudden they turn into little demon children, and then your husband gets home 5 minutes later. It's because an energetic version of your husband gets home first. Like we all have an energetic version of us that precedes, that's it before, right? Mm-hmm. It precedes as it goes before us, where our mind is, and then our physical body kind of lags behind. These big beings that we are speaking of, a lot of them were in light being form, and a lot of them did a lot of the quote-unquote heavy lifting in moving the stones, and this is why they're built upside down, because these beings were in... Look at it like this. You're standing here, and you're looking into a mirrored reflection. There's a sun shining behind you. That sun shines on you, and it makes you look really big. So look at the shadow of the being, but being in the mirror, and imagine this big, huge shadow. It happens the other way too. The light comes, not the sunlight, but the light, like the God's light comes, and it's they're showing it like projecting and making a person bigger. So this huge light being is over here. That light being is God's mind, and it can move things, but they're reflections. So it's like they were built in a reality where you could just go pyramid move and it would move, or brick move, but they had to actually flip them down into this reality. Are the pyramids built backwards?
I can't imagine the pyramids being on the point.
No, they're built. They just said the pyramids were built backwards.
4 sides.
Someone look that up. Let me see. Pyramids built back. They're saying that the oldest stones are going to be the ones that are on the bottom.
I'm sure.
Or I'm sorry, I'm seeing the point on the top.
Oh, on the top.
I'm seeing them like upside down. So it's like the oldest ones are going to be the ones that. It's like the newest stones are at the bottom and the oldest ones are at the top.
I believe, though, that at some time the biggest pyramids were covered with gold.
Ooh.
Yeah, all the facings were of gold. Can you imagine?
That's a lot of gold.
Imagine, yeah, that's a lot of gold.
Well, they're saying the intricacies and all the little things that the people made those, and they channeled those from these higher consciousness beings that were delivering them the information. And a lot of, like, one being that I see walking around, it literally says Sirius on it. Like, not Sirius, but Sirius.
Yeah.
And then I see another being walking around, and it says X. Oh God, I hate that when I see that word Xenon. It's like Xenon or
Xenon.
Yeah, xenon, but it's just a chemical. And then another being that I see, it says Saratoga or something like they feel like they're actual star systems that are like encased in these light bodies, and they're down here creating a world that they can then seed and live in. They wanted to create a landscape for themselves so that when they started to seed the human beings, they would have a direction. They would know which way to go if they got lost. It's like a compass. Like the pyramids all face the same way or something like that. And this was the soul's way of, when they get lost, they go, oh, okay, here, I'm on this planet, I'm here, I'm where the pyramids are, and the pyramids are facing in this direction, so that means I'm in the real world. And their soul would know that that's how they go home, through the pyramids, down in through the earth, and back up into source. So you have to go in through earth and up into source to get back home. But most go out into the heavens, and they get lost roaming around in the ethers, creating these weird worlds for themselves. So these beings were creating a beacon home, to go home.
Yeah, and this communication towers to allow them
transportation too, to transport them as well.
Wow.
And it's, they're transportation portals. That's really interesting.
Well, she goes on, and I'm not sure who Marissa's channeling. I think it might be Eden. I'm not really sure.
It's Eden.
Still Eden, okay. These were shrines. These pyramids were shrines. These pyramids were something of worship in which they could go to worship, in which they could connect with these beings. So these were brought to the earth plane so that the human beings could, when passing away, the human beings could be buried in these. They could keep their jewels in these. And these pyramids were sacred sites in which were aligned with different grids and meet the meridians of the earth, so that the quote-unquote gods or beings from other worlds could communicate with them. Then I said, I have two questions. The first question is, archaeologists have unearthed the tombs in these pyramids. They're just normal people. They're normal human, 6 feet tall, 5 feet, 6 feet tall, and they are the kings of the past. Did the humans from other planets have sex with the humans on the earth to create a mixed race? Were there children that were created by the coming together of a 14-foot man with a 5-foot tall woman? The answer, there's a bunch of guides. Oh, Marissa says there's a bunch of guides walking in. I want to see Eden. Can you answer this, or is this someone? Osiris is back. Osiris is a man. There have been many things. Here, don't tell me. I said, see in the Rancher book, and you said, oh, here, don't tell me, so it doesn't block. Let me just hear what this guy has to say, being Osiris. I'm so curious, so I want to make sure my mind doesn't. And she halts. And I said, well, this chapter is chapter 1 of our first book. I'm going to end up transcribing this, because after I transcribe it, then we're going to go through more sessions where I read it, just as we're doing right now. And we get clarification, because you were like a machine gun there for a second. And I'm talking to Marissa.
You must have been journaling really fast, huh?
I mean, you were just bang, 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 channeling. And you answered just now, and I said, yeah, I mean, you're rapid fire, just so much, I couldn't absorb it. So I kept saying to myself, I've got to transcribe this. And so you answered, okay, I got to transcribe this, and then we'll read it back again to them so we can get further clarification. So apparently our first chapter in our book will be on the pyramids. And then you respond, let's see, what is the best guide or being that's in 100% alignment? This is Marissa asking the question, not channeling. Who is the best guide or being that's in 100% alignment with Christ and is willing to speak your devotion to Christ? Who's willing to step forward now? I'd like to place big piece of glass. I'd like to place a big piece of glass, put us inside the snow globe. I'm asking God to do that. Please put us in this snow globe. I want all the beings to step forward and stand on the other side of the glass. We've got 42 of them here.
That's when they created the projection room.
Yeah.
The projection room, guys. That's when they created it.
How cool.
You said everybody's here. There's even Grandpa Joe. And then Grandpa Joe's holding a baby. Did somebody just have a kid?
I was about to have a baby.
And I said, my dad is holding a baby boy. He answered, yeah, maybe someone's going to have a kid. Oh, maybe it's my kid. Anyway, Grandpa Joe, we'll talk to you.
I'm like, oh, maybe it's my kid. I was about to have a kid.
I think it might have been one of my cousins, one of Randy's kids was going to have a kid back in 2014. I think they had a boy.
I got pregnant in
20.
I got pregnant
in
March
2014.
of 14.
Yeah, because
15.
February 2015.
No, 14, right? Wait, Madison will be 6. Yeah, 15. Yeah.
Madison's 5.
Yeah, so she'll be 6. Yeah, so I got pregnant in 15.
She'll be 6 and yeah.
But they say you're pregnant for 10 months before you're pregnant. Well, that's weird. Because normally they say that Madison came and went like this to the little boy that was supposed to be born, punched him out, and
yeah, you're supposed to have.
I was supposed to have Hunter first.
Hunter.
Yeah.
That's right.
He still hasn't come.
Didn't happen. Okay, my dad's holding a baby boy. Yeah, maybe someone's going to have a kid, or maybe it's my kid, Marissa's saying. Anyway, Grandpa Joe, we'll talk to you in a little bit. We've got all these really tall people here. I asked, we need one spokesman. I love hearing from Eden, but Eden has even said that sometimes she has to go to experts. But we ask that Eden be the only one that communicate. Otherwise, it's going to get very confusing. Marissa, well, my higher self is the one that, well, I don't even communicate directly with Eden until my higher self says it's okay. That's my higher self. But my higher self is going to be the one that's not my spirit, but my higher self.
My higher self is here. She says, okay, here, let me explain what we're talking about here. She didn't understand, I didn't understand at that point that what we are looking into when we are channeling, when we are calling in these guides, these spirits, these cells, these atoms, is that we are in essence turning our eyes backwards and looking into our own minds. So there's almost like a crescent around us, and all of these beings are plugging into or tuning into the different antennas within our own brains or our own minds. So your awareness is turning backwards and looking within your own mind. So what she was experiencing, experiencing was all of the beings standing behind. She was turning this way, but when you look at your higher self, you turn this way and you look in the mirror and you see just yourself. And many times people are given the abilities like this channel to jump out of oneself and into the mirror, when in reality you're in the mirror, you're all in the mirror, and outside the mirror is the higher self looking into a mirrored world and has fallen into that world. So what is best at this point is not to channel all the individual spirits behind oneself when you turn your eyes around backwards and look into the mind, but to actually go into the higher self, because the higher self can see from a higher perspective, can see the being that you are, can see all the beings that are around you and such, and that you have the ability to do this now with the way the planet is. However, what the planet's trying to do and what people are trying to do is stay inside of themselves or even behind themselves and not even be within their own bodies. We are going to have to cut this because we want to finish with this tomorrow in bringing forth the rest of the information, but we want to bring people into their higher selves so they can view and witness and experience what we are about to bring through, because seeing this and just listening to this are two different things. So we would like to prepare each individual so that they may understand that we will be pulling them into this self that is not in a mirrored reality, thereby listening to the extravagancy of what creation truly is, and we are not able to hold the frequency of, they're not able to hold our frequency where it is in order for us to continue to come through at this time. The planet, what you must understand is the planet is extremely painful for us to enter into at this point. Imagine the pictures that you see of the hellish souls trapped in hell. This is what it feels like for us to even touch our toe to the world that you're living in right now. There is no wonder why people are feeling not comfortable in their own skin, not feeling good, and this is why we want to teach everyone to get out of that skin and into their true, authentic, real selves, because people are off their path. They're doing things that they wouldn't be doing. They're interested in things they wouldn't be interested in. And what we would like to do is we would like to teach individuals to do this so that they can teach others to do this, and then others and others. And the more people that step out of this, it looks like a mercury mirror. It's like a mercury mirror. Mercury. They step out of Mercury and into their true selves. This is when people will truly feel happiness. This woman will truly feel happiness. We will step out while your gatekeeper guides will step in so that we can stop feeling what we're feeling. They're literally like in pain.
Are they ending the session now? They want us to do it tomorrow? They're instructing...
the guides that are in there can't handle it here anymore.
Okay.
Like, and I'm trying to stay up there with them, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. You can stay up here, but you're just going to fall asleep and you're not going to be able to talk. That's really weird.
So they're ending it. They want us to finish
our
tomorrow.
guides, now what I see in front of me is a bunch of holograms.
Well, we'll just finish it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because we're stuck here.
That's true. We are stuck here. Does anybody have any questions? Like, I can connect with...
Yeah, because we really get into even more interesting stuff tomorrow as well on the rest of this. So it's very, very good. It's just all lessons.
That's so cool. I want to pull everybody into the higher self.
Well, I think it's very hard to summarize what we've just done, but I guess it is that we have everything around us. We have so much going on around us, and we can't see it. But there are beings that are dark beings trying to
steal our consciousness.
Destroy the earth in a way. And
no, they're trying to retain the old one.
They could be, the old one. But then there are the angelic beings that are here as well, and we're going to get into that tomorrow. And so for a practical sense for our own lives, what I take from this is that, well, in the olden days of Egypt, they looked upon these as gods, these people that came down as gods. And I think we can believe that there are angelic beings that are like gods, and they're here for our higher and best good. And I think, like Marissa said, our souls chose to come to this duality, this earth, with duality, because, what would you say? Sin is fun.
Peter's like, I'm making that noisy. He says, do you think this is actually fun to listen to, people? It's that noisy thing that you and it's really annoying. He's like, this is your idea of fun. He goes, he's like covering his ears.
But you have to learn that this fun is also on a lower vibration. And so we can fall into the lower vibration where the dark side's at. And because the dark sides are lower vibrational beings.
But it's easier to be in the dark side because it's easier to retain that frequency, is what the hologram of Jesus is saying. It's funny, it's a hologram of Jesus. I was seeing the real Jesus. Now it's just like a he's Skyping in. He says the lower frequencies are easier to be, even if it's angry. Just as we have said, anger is the most self-righteous feeling of being right. When you are angry and you just know that you are right, there is no better feeling in that world, because you know you're right. There's nothing anyone can say to tell or convince you otherwise. You're right. There's no other feeling that's better than being right, other than truth. And truth is truth, living in truth. But when you're not living in truth, it is much more fun to live in anger because your human body goes, oh, I'm right. And nobody can tell me otherwise. And that is where people are right now. So we need to take people out of the anger and put them into the truth. But truth doesn't need to be, we're going to reveal all these scary things to you to scare you. Truth needs to be truth within oneself and truth within one's true self that already knows all and doesn't need to be right. So being right is a part of the pride and a part of the needing, and children start this at a very young age. I'm right? I'm right, right? You're wrong, I'm right. This starts at a very, very young age, and it's just built into human beings. So if you find yourself being like this or being angry just so you can feel right, because in all other areas of your life you feel dumb or less than or not as successful as your brother or sister or mother or cousin or whoever, just understand and know that you are being angry so that you can feel right. And this is the biggest lesson for today. Do not allow anger to be your catalyst to feeling like you are living in truth. I do. Gone.
Poof, they're gone.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that was rather intriguing to me was when they're talking about the DNA and what were they saying? They're saying they're implanting or something within us so that they can track.
Write that down so we can ask about tomorrow, because I don't know, or maybe they'll share a little bit tonight during class or something. Oh wow, I still have class tonight.
I think they did. Yeah. So okay, I guess we're gonna have another class tomorrow.
Well, I have class tonight, but yeah, tomorrow we'll do class tomorrow because I'm pretty sure we're stuck here either until later on tomorrow or even the next day because my car is not done. And I asked him, can I drive a loaner from you guys back and give it to the Lexus over there? And he goes, oh, no. My car's all pulled apart.
Oh, gosh. That's weird.
He just says that they only got 5 guys working in the whole shop.
Oh, brother.
Because of COVID, so...
yeah, it was Labor Day week. I don't know. Everybody's just still
on Labor Day. That's right.
Perpetual vacation.
Nobody wants to go back to work. Well, now that I heard that the unemployment was over, now everyone's like, I see a lot of stores.
You gotta go back to work.
Yeah, I see all the stores in Vegas. I went to a furniture store, and there's 3 furniture stores. They had hiring tables out front.
Yeah.
So people are wanting jobs now that they're not getting free money.
Yeah.
Okay, not scary though, Donna. It's more like it's more like emotionally like imagine going around like someone who's playing heavy metal and you're used to listening to like country or pop or whatever, and you're just like, I can't handle this music. Look at it in the form of music rather in the form of like burning in hell souls or whatever. It's sound. They can't handle the sound of oh, that's why Peter is doing that. It's like we're in this rattly like noise down here.
Yeah.
That's why last night when we were at Bill and Gail's house last night, and I could not leave my body to channel because all I would hear is like this like screeching like hellish noise, and there was this weird, it looked like Moana's the Mother Earth at the end of Moana that turns into Mother Earth, but she's a fire demon. It looked like this big thing trying to block us from channeling last night because we wanted to know about, I told them I would share about Iliad. So what we channeled the other night and what we kind of confirmed last night when we were over at Bill and Gail's house, which Bill didn't want to have it live or anything, and so we were like, that's fine. So it's kind of like a round table thing, and Janice was there, my dad, me, Bill and Gail, and they kept talking about how COVID hasn't been COVID until now. Now COVID is COVID because it was created. Before it was just a cold. It was SARS. But now they've been able to inject COVID into society, and now COVID is COVID. But that if people have a reaction to it, it'll be this 100-day cough, which is called what's it called?
The whooping cough.
We looked it up, but I didn't know it was whooping cough. But I was actually saying the word when I looked it up.
Vaccinated people are going to get this whooping cough.
Both, because the way that they put the flu into circulation is they put it in someone, and then that person gives it to someone who's not or is vaccinated. Right. So anyone's going to be able to get this, because if you're sick, you can get someone else sick. So it's something that's completely curable. and it's something that's completely not scary, is what they're saying. So, but people are going to use their minds of like fear and, oh my God, I've got this cough that hasn't gone away for 50 days. I'm going to die. And they're just warning that in about June of next year, a lot of people are going to get this cough, and the government's going to say, oh, now this is COVID cough, like death syndrome, or they're going to call it something, but it's really just something called Iliad, and is the key. And we looked it up, and I thought if it's first the pump, it's got a place called Iliad Laboratories, and they came up with a vaccine, a live vaccine for whooping cough. And I had actually
this was
said
back in 2018,
2018.
prior to the pandemic. Yeah.
So, that in high school, Demi, interesting. Yeah, so they're saying, but they had said Iliad, and I thought it was the poem, but then Peter goes, no, stupid, you spelled it the wrong way. So I typed ILIAD. First thing that popped up was Iliad Laboratories, live vaccine for, and it didn't say anything. And then I kept hearing this weird word, and I wrote it down, and it was like Sasquatch or Sasa something. So then I looked that up, and what popped up was whooping cough. And then I looked up Iliad whooping cough, and sure enough, the vaccine that they made was for whooping cough.
Yeah, and that'll be happening just about when the Red Horse is
Yeah,
coming.
the Red Horse is coming in.
In summer of 22.
So in our John and Peter book, we went through, and that's the only time we ever used the Bible for our books. My dad went through and he read the book of Revelations, and I broke in and I explained as John, or whomever I was channeling, John and Peter. Peter's like, you gave John way more attention than me.
Yeah.
Well, John was the one that wrote it.
Yeah,
he goes,
right.
Doesn't mean he wrote it. He saw it. Scribes wrote it.
And John didn't even understand it.
Yeah, Peter says, I understand everything.
Yeah, that's why we need to write a Peter book.
Yeah, he says, very good idea. And then he goes, and he's like making that noise.
Yeah.
So he says, notice who's staying down here with you guys when everybody else ran away.
Oh, he sticks with us.
Yeah, he's stuck with me, he says I'm his shadow.
Great.
But I think he's mine. He says, nope, you really are my shadow.
Wow.
I don't get that. Okay, so the sun shines down, he's there, and I'm like living in the shadow of whoever he is. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So he says, you put up with me, I put up with you. He says it's even. But he says that the Red Horse, yes, will come in, and it will be extreme wisdom, and people will go, oh, I'm so wise. I have so much wisdom. He says, you already see it with this wisdom brokering, this knowledge brokering, where everybody feels that they have the right to charge thousands of dollars for their life experiences. Whoever thought that the world would come to people saying, here, pay me $5,000 and I'll share how I went through my divorce. And people pay it because people are desperately wanting to understand how to live life.
And those are the NFTs that Bill's working on.
Kind of the NFTs that Bill's working with,
Yeah.
yes, and also things like the masterminds and the Tony Robbins of the world. They're creating these big, huge platforms for people to go, oh, well, this is very professional, and I'm just going to share these 8 videos here on how I planted a tomato plant and it grew, and then people are spending all this money because people aren't looking to the internal wisdom inside. They're looking to the external wisdom, thinking, oh, that person will teach me in a 2-minute TikTok video how to do this or that. They're not experiencing life on their own. And this is what's happening when the Red Horse comes in. Experience will be gone. Right now, you have to experience life. Experience. Just remember this, experience. Stop with the external experience, the virtual experience, and this will end this with this video that Google has so nicely implanted into everybody's mind today. The video, remember? I forgot about that. Here, let me see if it's here. Screen share. No, that's not it. How do I do... Yeah, screen share, allow, Chrome. Oh, I have to open it in Chrome. Can they see that? Let's see if they can see it, because I can see it from here. I think I need to do this. You guys got to see this. It's crazy. I was going to do it at the beginning. Let's see. Yeah, it's that guy playing the piano.
Oh yeah, I know this song.
Let's see here. Screen share is not supported in your browser yet. Why? Why? It's weird.
Oh, so you can't play it?
Well, I guess, let me see. Zoom always supports. Oh, here we go. Oh. Share screen. Oh, there we go. Okay. Share screen. There we go. Okay. Chrome tab. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Check this out.
Feeling my way through the darkness, guided by a beating heart. I can't tell where the journey will end, but I know where to start. They tell me I'm too young to understand. They say I'm caught up in a dream. Well, life will pass me by if I don't open up my eyes. So that's fine by me. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself and I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself and I didn't know I was lost.
Okay, now you guys can hear me. Isn't that weird though? It's like the hands, and then it goes to the pyramid. But the only thing that was really real, it makes you emotional, Aaron, because of what's your doggy's name again? I can't believe I forgot his name.
Who are you talking to?
Rooney. And Aaron lost Rooney recently.
Oh.
Her dog. But it was interesting how the dog and the music was like the only real thing, like the instrument. Like he was playing the instrument, but he had the headphones on the whole time and he was in the computer the whole time. But that was definitely like a Google implant. And just like when the world shifted back in January 18th of 19 or something, or March 18th of 2019, Windows had a big, huge picture on its main screen when you went into like, MSN, of a church decaying and all the sheep fleeing everywhere. No sheep herder. It was like all the sheep were just walking away from the church, and the church was like decaying. And they always have like these weird little like implanted things. I think Demi and I actually analyzed another one of the Google implants the other night too, like a couple weeks ago in Vegas. Is watching class considered experience? No. Experience would be experiencing like, I mean, it's an experience, but experience would be, what they're saying is like breathing air and eyes open and laughing and seeing and tasting and touching and all that. There's a spiritual experience whereby when you watch class, you're getting in touch with all the different aspects of self that need to have that experience. But experience is living, and living is not necessarily reality. It's a created reality by our higher self. But living in life, like they said, truth is the antidote to life, meaning life is not truth. So our life is this created thing. So if experiencing class and having interpersonal relationships with people, say here in class, is more real to you than, say, being at home with a spouse that sits on the couch and drinks beer, then then that is experiencing. Interesting. So it's different for everybody. It's if your emotions are triggered, if your senses are experienced, then you are experiencing life. If you're imagining things like, oh, I'm going to manifest this, or I'm going to get this, or I'm going to get that, that's not experiencing. That's like kind of like a it's imagining is what they're saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's being present in the moment. So, I know that Sue, when she was out here, some of her best friends are online, just like Joshua. Joshua experiences life. My brother experiences life through his computer because some of his very best friends are friends that he played his games with, and he talks with, and he chats with, and he laughs and just experiences life, I guess, through these interpersonal. It's about interpersonal relationships. That's really cool.
Joshua just has the perfect life.
For him, yeah, I would.
For him.
I wouldn't want to have it, but
No, I mean, it wouldn't be good for others, but
Yeah.
he loves his life.
yeah, he definitely loves his life. Yeah, good, because you love exploring, learning, and healing. Yes, exactly. And Donna, Donna, are you the one that wrote class tonight? No? Oh, I thought, who was it that signed up for somebody signed up for the $300 and wrote in for what class was supposed to be about tonight. That wasn't you? Watch it, Susan or Julia. Oh, I thought you did. Oh, okay. Well, then I wonder who wrote tonight's class, because I definitely didn't write it about tonight. I definitely didn't want to talk about hormones. That's so funny. I'm like, but right before we start class, I was like, there's no men on here. I'm like, I have to go to the store. I can't send my dad to go get stuff for me. I can send Jeff, but not my dad. So I had to go out to the store, and that's why we were a little bit late. But I was like, that's funny that somebody wanted to do class on hormones, and then like I'm all like, PMSy. But anyways, so I guess my higher self or my etheric big self wrote it. But I want you guys to prepare yourselves, like, for tomorrow. I'm gonna do like yank you out of the mirror between now and tomorrow. If you're going to come to class, let me know if you're going to come to class. Or actually, when you guys get the ticket, well, I'll have Ann set the tickets. It's going to be cheap, like donation only type thing. But I did this heart attunement on everyone after we did the procrastination day, where, to get all of our stuff done that we were procrastinating on last Thursday. I did this heart attunement at the end, and it's what they're going to do on people tomorrow, where we're actually pulling all of our heart, mind, soul, and body out of the metallic reflection of who we think we are. And it's weird, because when I really, really, really realized who I was when I was looking in a aluminum foil mirror in a place that I was not allowed to leave. My mom calls it the hotel still. And I was looking in the mirror, and I just went, I hate you. I hate you so much. And I was like scratching my face, and all of a sudden I just felt this like some darkness leave me. And I looked in the mirror, and I was like, whoa, that's me. It was so weird. It was the weirdest thing I'd ever experienced. And I still think back, and I can remember it as if it was yesterday, but it's almost like something dark left me that was causing me to be who I was. And then it was like, nah, I don't want to sit in jail. So it left. But looking into a reflection, you don't really know what you look like to anybody else, because you always see a mirror, or, back in the day, a looking glass, or the lake. But you never truly know what you look like to other people, because you're flipped. I didn't see any of the questions. Let me see. I literally looked on there right before class and saw no questions. Thank you, Susie. It's not logging in. Hold on.